the story of Sweden. It has become the story of how mass immigration and the idea of multiculturalism destroyed a nation. It has become a story of how political correctness silenced and cancelled those who tried to warn about what was about to happen. Sweden, my neighbor country, my beloved Sweden, has fallen. Hi there, welcome to my channel, welcome to my local woods, and welcome to the old forest cave. It's still dark because it's very early and we're getting into the dark months of the year here in Norway. But I wanted to get out here and talk about the situation in Sweden. So what's going on in Sweden? Well, they are calling it a wave of violence. What's happening there is that on a daily basis there are explosions, murders, and well, they already have had these no-go zones for many years. The police seem to be unable to do anything about the situation, and now they have decided to utilize the army. So they are actually, there are soldiers in the streets to try to fight these gangs, because we're talking about criminal gangs making money from selling drugs and things like that, and they are recruiting younger and younger people. It is a situation that they are calling a wave, but it's really not, because this is a catastrophe that has been warned about for a long time. And the thing is, and this is what people need to understand, some of us, we try to warn about this. We try to say that, you know, you're going to lose control, you're going to have these gangs ruling the streets, and by then it might be too late. And now that's where we are. We need to be able to call this for what it is, and we need to be able to point out the people who are actually committing these crimes. And it's not ethnic Swedes. These are immigrant kids. Well, as far as I understand, predominantly second generation, maybe third generation. Their parents or grandparents would have come from predominantly Muslim cultures. If I can be a little bit poetic here, I want to say that darkness has descended upon Sweden, but at least morning is here and daylight here in my local woods. Now, why is this happening? Why has this happened to Sweden? Such a beautiful country, wonderful people, rich culture. And, you know, Norwegians and Swedish people, we are basically the same ethnic group. It's basically the same language, almost. So why has this happened? We don't have the same problem in Norway. Things are not all wonderful concerning this situation in Norway either, but at least the politics here, the policy concerning immigration has been very different compared to Sweden. And now we're seeing the result of that. And I made a list on the why. Why has this happened in Sweden? I think what happened there is that they created a perfect environment for a situation like this, the situation that we have now. And I'll just read from my list here. First of all, the prison sentences are ridiculous. murder 3 to 5 years if they're below a certain age. I know, we're talking about kids here, but that's being used by these criminal gangs. Because of this, they know that they will be out of prison, with a higher status because of the murder after a few years. So the prison sentences are so low that it's laughable. And my second point here, and a lot of people will hate that I'm saying this, but this could not have happened without an increasingly liberal view on narcotics, the use of narcotics. And it comes from rap music, Hollywood movies, popular culture. And these gangs are just supplying the demand that is there because of a more and more liberal view on this crap. And also, next point here, money. Being perceived as rich, having a nice fancy car and expensive clothes and gold jewelry and nonsense like that is very important to these people. They are very materialistic and shallow people. And also, and this is a very important one, it's been imprinted in the mind of these little criminals from early age that they can't succeed in the Swedish society because of racism. It's the idea of systemic racism. And then you have these gang leaders and recruiters telling them that, well, they're all racists. The Swedes are all racists. But you'll be our brother in this gang, and you will be successful and rich. And there you have it. This anti-racism ideology is extremely harmful, and it has done great damage. Now, speaking of racism, I hate racism, if I didn't say so already. I don't care what ethnicity people have. It's the personality and the human qualities that matter. But these people in these gangs, did you know that they are extremely racist? And they hate people who are different from them. And I don't even have to mention their attitudes towards women, and especially Caucasian women. Now there's a lot of talk in Sweden, of course, about what can be done to solve this problem and to stop these gangs from doing what they're doing. And no big surprise there, all the solutions that I've seen is, coming from journalists and politicians and all the other usual suspects. It's all about prevention. We need to talk with these kids and get them off the street and all that. And that's great. That's wonderful. Very sweet. Very sweet. But it's also too late for that now. 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, yeah, that's when you should have done it. Now, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to get these people committing these crimes, put them in prison, and leave them there. Now, I don't know how you're going to deal with very young kids, but we're talking about a situation where these kids, they will kill. It is actually that bad. I'm not making this up. They are asking these gang leaders to point out someone that they can kill. It is really that bad. And those people, those kids, even if it's a 13-year-old, you can't have that kid out in the street. I know many of the victims of these gangs are, of course, people living in those communities, those suburbs, those no-go zones. Good, honest people. And you know, if these politicians really cared about immigrant communities, then get these criminals off the street, because they're terrorizing those communities. There are people with an immigrant background moving out of Sweden because of the crime. And I think you heard that, you know, they are calling Stockholm the rape capital of Europe. I don't know if that's true, but you know, these areas and Stockholm as well, it's not safe for women there. That goes without saying, you know. And Sweden used to be a very safe country. But I think I'll continue on my hike in the rain. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out one of the other videos that should pop up here on the end screen. Thank you, and as always, stay strong.